Much for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Firecrackers. You've missed quite a lot, but don't worry, we stream live on our Facebook page. You could catch up with us there. So now to the topic we have and that's this review of Nigeria's economy in 2024. So far, well, we are just few days before the year runs out. If we are to look at how Nigeria's economy has been in 2024, what would you say is the high and what would you say is the low for us?
If we're looking at Nigerian economy in 2024, the problem actually started sometime as far back as 2015, where it became heightened in 2023, where a lot of people had to fasten their belt, a lot of people have to change their pattern, a lot of people have to change their lifestyle. In 2024, the fuel price went on an increase from 200, from 600 down to 1,200 thereabout. We saw that traffic reduced for the very first time. And that was, I can remember when, as far back as 2018, when I still used to commute between the Lagos Island across the Third Mainland Bridge. There was one time when they were repairing the Third Mainland Bridge, in which you could even stay up to the next day while you're staying on traffic. But one thing is that traffic reduced in Lagos, which is quite significant and something that is quite memorable. But a lot of people went poorer, right? And if you're even looking at it, the GDP that used to be around 1,300 and something, within the range of 1,300 or 1,500 per head, reduced to like about 910.87 per head. The external debt, foreign debt per head also increased. So the total debt, an average Nigerian owes like about 45.67. Before you can say you're a wealthy Nigerian, you need to have like about $45.67 that you even need to donate to the government so that they can pay back the debt. And also we're looking at the total debt position, about 910.87 also within that particular range. So I think one thing Nigeria really needs to look at is that the debt has been on the increase. We cannot continue to survive or maintain a nation by funding through debt. And one thing is that even if the West or the developed countries are going to support through debt, you're only going to be at their mercy or their beck and call. So one of the things that really drove the regulation of the Naira and the petrol is simply because IMF has called for it. And at the same time, IMF came back and said, no, we're not the one that says you should put Nigeria in abject poverty. So a lot of Nigerians crossed the poverty line. One thing, even some states have not implemented the minimum wage of 70,000 now. Although with 70,000, I was trying to look at the price of transport from Lagos down to Port Harcourt or some places. I saw down to Port Harcourt was like about 60,000. So if I'm collecting 70,000 as minimum wage, and for me to go to my village and come back, I need to take 2 months' salary. So a lot of Nigerians went poorer. A lot of manufacturing companies felt the heat. The only sector within Nigeria that really bloomed within this period of 2024 is majorly the services sector. We've seen banks declaring a high profit over close to a trillion naira. Some banks are likely to close their books with close to a trillion naira or above 500 billion. But if we're looking at the core productive area of the society, we're looking at agriculture, we're looking at industries, we're looking at manufacturing, we're looking at refining, right, which really drive the development of a society. We can say that it was not too friendly. And the monetary policy rate currently at 27.5%. We don't expect it that is going to come down anytime soon until we see inflation stabilize or monetary get itself managed within Q2 2025. So we think it was a very tough period for Nigerians in 2024. Although 2025 looks a bit much more gloomy thanks to Uncle Dangote that is trying to do what he can to be able to put a bit of stability in the economy through making Nigerians not to import much more for he slashed his fuel price to 899. We hope he's able to maintain that. He has done well for us. He has made the December a bit dirty for us, right? So although it's going to take a while before we see the price adjust. Although in Nigeria, too, when things go up in Nigeria, it's already drags before it comes down. But when we're looking at it from the purchasing power parity point of view, the Naira to the dollar is like about 1,158 Naira, within 1,158 plus or minus 20 Naira. So the Naira to dollar is less than 1,200. But we are still having it at 1,534 as at the close of business on Friday. Even though the parallel market is still devalued to like about 1,670 recent. So which simply means there's a bit of arbitration. Although the Minister of Finance and the coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, have said that within a space of 7 months from now, if you are trading the dollar not within the regulatory, is a criminal offense. So they are trying to mop up funds. So we've seen that they are trying to mop up a lot of funds within the economy, but there's still a lot of money in circulation. We're having a case whereby a $2.5 billion euro bond was oversubscribed. Where is the money? We are having a case whereby the money in circulation is over 100 trillion. So you're likely to see prices going up and there. So I think what the government really needs to do is they should allocate funds to the productive arm of the society that is going to really drive development. If we look at the budget for 2025, we're seeing that it's planned focusing on security, 4.91 trillion, infrastructure, 4.06 trillion. We're looking at also education, 3.52 trillion, then health is like around 2 point something trillion, thereabout. We need to really address security, and what exactly are we really going to do to address security? What is the new thing that we are going to do to really address the security issues? Because we're seeing kidnapping here and there. A state of unrest in the society is not something that is quite friendly. So if we are able to address security, we also need to address food insecurity too, because a lot of people are hungry. The only reason why people are going to go out to come and collect 5,000 naira of food is simply because they cannot live above that. Right? There's a lot of hunger in the society. A lot of people are living below $2 per day. We believe that with things going out, 2024 is a tough year. A lot of people were resident. In fact, we even had a protest sometime between August 1 and August 10, even though after a while people did not come out to protest again, simply because the protest could not really drive the real thing. I think
also hijacked too.
It was also hijacked by a lot of people, although some of them are still in detention now, right? So we've seen that is a way whereby the government is trying to also manage situations, right? But we believe 2025 will be a bit better if Dangote continue to expand, although we are seeing 2.06 million barrels per day, which is quite it's not like it's quite difficult to achieve, but we are seeing from currently 1.38 to 1.7. We believe we should be able to move up to 2.06. If we're able to get that 2.06, then at least we'll be able to supply or feed Dangote refinery of 650,000 barrels per day, and other refineries that are also required. If Dangote is able to produce more, and other active sectors of the society drives up, then I believe 2025 will be a bit much more softer year, and it's going to have a softer landing. But if we are still having a lot of output from the services sector rather than the core sector of the society, then I think is not the way to go. But we don't expect the catastrophe that we faced in 2024 to be that much in 2025. It should be a bit softer than 2024.
Yeah, probably it's going to be that year that would give us this cushioning effect from the hard blows that we've been sustaining so far in 2024. So now to Dr. Akintunde Ogunshola. A lot of critics, a lot of brilliant minds have said that the major problem we are having in Nigeria when it comes to our economy is this mono economy thing of overly relying on crude oil. And then we know that the president did promise that we will diversify our economy in coming years. We know that they've also tried to do some things when it comes to agriculture and livestock development. But from your own point of view, do you think that is enough, or which areas do you think we are not really looking to, but we could really benefit much from it that would help us so much in 2025?
Yeah, thank you very much. 2024 has been a year, of very hard times for Nigerians. But getting into the last quarter of the year, things, is beginning to get better. Talking about the budget or the economy of Nigeria still being monocultural economy, yes, we are still, relying on oil so much, just that the percentage has reduced quite a little. But I think the president has a very good plan to actually further diversify the economy. You recall that when he came into office in 2023, one of the first bills that he signed was the Electricity Act. And even the Electricity Act was also amended in 2024. The president is looking forward to making power affordable and available to Nigerians. That's what he mentioned in his inaugural speech. If power is, now made affordable and accessible, we'll begin to see a lot of production happening in the economy. We'll see our manufacturing sector producing and also preserving so many manufactured products in the economy, thereby increasing our exports. This is what we need to drive at, and that's how we can diversify our economy. That's how we can bring in foreign investors into the country. Though power is not one of the top priority of the government 2025 budget, talking about allocation of funds to various sectors. But I think the president's idea is to bring in foreign investors to diversify, the power sector. In the act, some states are being given power to generate, their own power and also distribute their own power. And also some persons are given the authority to go off the grid to, generate their own power through other renewable energy sources like the solar and other means. So once we can fix power in 2025, thank God for the successes we have recorded in the oil industry. We are no longer importing. Importation of petroleum has reduced drastically. Our refinery started working in 2024 after 28 years that they are, Nigeria has been importing petrol since for the past 28 years. But we broke the chains in 2024. We also see higher production of crude. Before 2024, we were seeing our revenue going down as a result of oil theft. Some of the things have, increased our economy. We also see our foreign reserve also coming up to $40 billion as a result of bond that was oversubscribed. So we had some positives, in the economy in 2024, but 2025 possibly will begin to feel the effect of those positives in 2024. So we need to diversify the economy, especially through making power available and affordable. With that, so many other sectors of the economy can spring up. Even the agricultural sector needs power to actually preserve and sustain some of the agricultural products. So power is very key. Yes, we've gotten very good achievement in crude oil production and refining local.
Okay, since we do not have the network on our side at this time, but sincerely we hope that the network settles over there so that we'll have him continue his train of thoughts. So let us talk about one of the things that has generated lots of heat this year when it comes to the economy. That is the tax reform bills. We have some people who are saying that it is in a way to enrich Lagos, even though the FIRS chairman came up and then even the person heading the committee, they all came up to try to make people understand what this tax is really about. But looking now, well, we'll see how the bill goes in 2025, definitely. But let us look at what are the things that do you think that Nigeria could benefit from this tax reform bill if implemented in 2025?
Okay, so there are like about 4 bills that have been pushed to the Senate and the National Assembly as regards tax reform. So one thing is that we want to first consolidate all the taxes and the revenues levies. In Nigeria, there are over 700 and some above 700 revenues that is paid. We have radio, TV, and the rest of them, all those taxes, and they bring everything into one cycle. So rather than having different arms of government or different agencies and parastatals, which is creating a bit of inefficiency, we are trying as much as possible to be able to get everyone into just one bucket, whereby everybody is paying and there's just one singular transaction. So that is going to aid transparency, that is going to aid inculcation, that's going to aid peace. Now, another thing is that one of the concerns is that he's trying as much as possible that the bill is favoring those that are in the medium and small scale enterprises. So we even have a case whereby VAT is not going to be charged for a medium and small scale business. So when we say medium or small scale business in Nigeria, it's simply a business that is coordinating, or there is only generating revenue of, let's say, less than 50 million. So that is also one of the issues thereabout. Also, we've seen that there's a projection in the growth rate of VAT from 7.5% to 15% sometime in 2030. It simply means that they want to tax more. And what is the rationale about it? First, let's look at it. The budget is majorly going to be funded by taxation. So we're having like about a 19 trillion naira deficit, in which majority of the fund is going to be coming from taxation. Now, what was even calling the concerns out? We were saying that the derivation rule, simply that we're going to reallocate the funds majorly to the place where the tax is being sourced. Let's even look at a classical example. Only 3 states account for over 90% of the total revenue that is generated by Nigeria, which is Lagos State, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. So if only Lagos State, Abuja, and Port Harcourt is accounting for a significant effect of that, it simply means that some states are not doing their work. First, do I think that the 1999 constitution is the best for Nigeria at this point in time? I think no, because some states are just lazy developing or relying so much on federal allocation of FAC. If you remove FAC allocation from all the states' revenue, we see that there's going to be significant plummet in the revenue that is internally generated from each state. So if there is no FAC, and we're going to say that the states are not enough to be productive, let's not forget that Nigeria is one of the states or one of the countries that is blessed with the abundance of natural resources. Let's take example Delta State. Delta State has the highest revenue from crude oil, like generates crude oil the most. So, but if you look at the development in Delta State, we cannot. I've spent a couple of time in Delta State, and I can simply say that no, a lot have not been spent in the development of the state. So I think what the state really need to look at is that they need to look back and see how they can drive activities, commercial activities within the state. And also, we should not continue to rely on the federal government to continue to share national cake. If you continue to rely on that share of national cake or FAC thereabout, it simply means that we are not going to really drive development within the state. Now, let's go back to the 1960s when we have several regions. We have the western region that was majorly focusing on cocoa. We have the northern region that was majorly focusing on agriculture. We had the groundnut pyramids of Kano. Have everybody left their farms that they were meant to be planting groundnut, and others, have they gone to the political space and be sharing dollar up and down? We need to see how these state governors can see how they can go back to the society. So I think it's still going to have a lot of kickbacks from the north, because a lot of the northern states are saying that, because a lot of this revenue is not going to be shared back to us simply because we are not generating majority of this income. I think they should have looked at it in a way such that we try as much as possible to see how we can increase activities in our states so that we can benefit more from it. But I think the plus sides of it is that it's going to be able to support micro, small, and medium scale enterprises within Nigeria, so that we are able to thrive more on do business. And also it's going to address some of the inefficiencies within the collection of revenues. In fact, we have to see everywhere where exactly is the revenue going to. But my other concern is that the money or the revenue that is going to be generated from this, what exactly is it going to be used for? Right, that is a major concern. We still have a country whereby we are funding by foreign debt. We still have we cannot account for 24-hour power supply. This year alone, we had the national grid shut down by over 12 times, like about 12 times this year. It simply means that and one of the last time they said simply because the GENCOs and the DISCOs were owing debt like about 2 trillion to the distributor supplier of gas when we have gas in abundance. So I think we should not just focus on the revenue bill or the tax administration bill. I think what we should really focus on, what are the activity drivers of productivity within Nigeria? Are we really driving productivity within Nigeria? If every state can say, okay, I don't need FAC again. There's one point in time, I think Lagos State survived without even getting FAC for a period of time. And that's what made Lagos State to think that, no, we need to see how we could be able to drive activity with our state. Let's even stop the FAC and stop sharing money back. The federal government should stop sharing money to state and focus that money on the development of the society. Focus it on just fixing electricity, focus it on making transportation, focusing on driving education, driving things. Then I think probably every state will be able to sit down back and see how they can increase activity. Is it that all the states do not have resources No, there are a lot of abundance of resources. When you get to each state in Nigeria, there's a lot of abundance of resources. So I think some of the state governors are quite lazy and do not really want to do well. Even Lagos State should be able to generate much more than it's doing now. I simply think that Lagos State is a bit complacent. There are a lot of informal leakages here and there. Let's look at the transport sector. You are going on the road every day. You get to every bus stop and we are seeing tariffs that is not even properly accounted for. So we see a lot of agberos, or we see them here and there that is making transport much more expensive. What are those people still doing on the streets? We should be able to have a community, a Lagos transit system. The train, red line and the blue line should be very functional, that people do not really need to drive on the road. We are still seeing traffic here and there. We are seeing high crime rates. So I think what the governors really need to look at is that they should not be FAC. If I was going to be the president, I was going to advise the president, they should no longer be FAC distribution, no more national cake sharing. Everybody go and develop your state. We are going to use all the money or the revenues that we've earned from the state to fix the critical aspect that is going to advance the development of the nation. Then everybody's going to be sit back and we're not going to be having this fight and corridor up and down.
Okay, all right. Well, that sounds very nice theoretically, but the implementation of that, most states will not be happy with that. I could only imagine. Now to Dr. Akintunde Ogbuishola, could you please share your thoughts about how the tax reform bill, perhaps if passed, how it could probably help us in Nigeria in 2025?
Yeah, thank you very much. The tax reform bill is a very good bill. The four of them, 4 in 1. They are very good bills that will, reduce multiple taxes. It will also help to, harmonize collection of taxes. But the only aspect that I have is, a little fear is just for the increase in the VAT from 7.5% to 10%. Yeah, that will actually drive inflation up again, the inflation we've been trying to bring down. But maybe with time, since the monetary policy aspect is being tightened, possibly there's going to be a balance. The president and the economic handlers have to look for a balance between increasing the taxes, tightening the economy, and also considering the exchange rate of the naira to the dollar. So that's just the area that we need to actually look at a way to balance. There are other forms of taxes that we need to also generate revenue from, like the capital gains tax. That has not been, considered, probably because it's the tax of the rich. Nigeria needs to look for a way for the proper implementation of other taxes apart from the VAT. So that's just the area. But talking about the general opinion, yes, the tax reforms bill will actually help in tax collection, tax harmonization, reduce multiple taxes, and also encourage growth of SMEs in Nigeria, also encourage foreign direct investments, a lot of more benefits. Then talking about the sharing of the VAT, of the revenue to states, yes, is a good one, but when we look at it holistically, I really have passion, compassion now on our brothers in the north, because they are the ones that have been worse hit by insecurity. My brother in the studio was talking about governors are being lazy. They are not actually lazy. They are working to see how to, increase the revenue of the states. But if you can imagine the way insecurity is actually dealing with them, and that's why they are crying for state policing, because security is on the exclusive list of government, because only the federal government controls security. So the federal government, and that's why the federal government has, increased the budget on security from the northeast, where we have the Boko Haram, to the northwest, where we have the bandits, and then another group now, another sect is now coming up. They are hindering people from going to farms, and that has reduced production of farm products in Nigeria. That's why we're having food inflation, we're having food crisis at the point in 2024. So insecurity is actually one of the problems. Lagos State perhaps may not be facing, any form of very drastic insecurity. Lagos State is very peaceful, businesses are going well, and that's why you see revenue coming to Lagos. Unlike states like Borno State. Borno State is also close to the border, and Borno State can also generate as much revenue, but the insecurity in that region has crippled business activities, has crippled even banks. Banks only work in Maiduguri town. Other local government, there's no bank. A lot of economic activity is being crippled because of insecurity. So the president, in his wisdom, thank God for that, is increasing fight against insecurity in the north in 2025, and that's why he has budgeted more. And we believe and we are hopeful that if we can tackle the insecurity, the north can actually develop, and the north can feed the country, and even we can even export so much agricultural products, and our GDP is going to grow by that.
All right, so since we are nearing the end of the program, what advice would you give to Nigerians for going into 2025? Should we still tighten our seatbelt? Because, yeah, well, from analysis so far, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a smooth ride. There might still be some bump along the way. So what advice would you give to Nigerians for surviving 2025?
Yeah, I'm going to congratulate Nigerians, first of all, for surviving 2024. God has really kept us because things were so hard. Minimum wage up till now has not been, effectively paid by some states. People are still struggling and finding it hard to survive. But 2025 will be a lot better. It's, going to experience this ease in this hardship because we are now seeing, a smooth running of the oil industry, which is the major revenue and the economic power of Nigeria. So by the time this sector is being stabilized and maybe possibly other refineries come up, we are no longer importing petrol. Possibly we'll see the exchange rates coming down. I foresee the Naira coming down from 1,005 probably to a little below 1,000 in 2025. And that will be a good one. If we achieve that, we'll feel a kind of relief, for the hardship we are facing.
And not to my guest here in the studio, what would be your advice to Nigerians to survive 2025?
So I think Nigerians are very resilient people. If
Yes.
Nigerians can actually survive COVID, Nigerians can survive 2024 without shutting down the whole nation. 2025 will not come as a surprise. The only thing, just don't let all your guards down. It's a bit going to be likely softer than 2024 because of what we're seeing. But don't give room for surprises simply because anything can happen again, and it's simply because the Nigerian polity has not developed that culture of investing actively in development. You see more or less like it's spend free. Let everybody spend, let everybody have access to money. We see a lot of money in circulation. This monetary side of the CBN is tightening everything possible for to reduce ways and means, borrowing, to be able to increase monetary policy rates. It's tightening, but on the physical side, we are seeing a lot of spendings here and there. We're seeing a lot of travelings here and there. What are those travelings really, really necessary? Yeah, some of them have yielded positive results, but some of them are not really what exactly is really going to advance the development of the nation. I think we should sit back. We should sit back as a nation and focus on the critical things. To me, if I'm going to drive everybody to get well in 2025, the governors should sit down and work on their state. The fact money should not be shared. It should be spent on security. They should use it to address the issues of insecurity. They should use it to address things that are going to develop technology, also electricity, so that it can make it Nigeria a much more friendly place to do business. The judiciary system also needs to get their hands in order, that people should be able to trust the judiciary on the judgment. There should not be this bias that we've seen in the last couple of months as regards some legendary people, and also we are seeing the judiciary that dancing onto the side. So we should be able to trust the government, and everybody should be able to think Nigeria is going to be a bit much more friendlier or attract more investors, because a lot of investors are pulling back from Nigeria, although we are still seeing a lot of people coming in. We also expect further deregulation. The only thing that can drive price down in the oil sector is we should not allow just Uncle Dangote to be the only guy there. Even though he's trying everything possible to be the only person there, we should be able to create. Yeah, there's still some refineries like Walter Smith refineries, Aradel refineries that are happening, but they don't have that much capacity. We should be able to enhance that. Okay, a lot of players also come in freely. We have a lot of over 15 companies have licenses in Nigeria, but only NNPC imports fuel into Nigeria, which is not quite a friendly business like that within this. But 2025 is going to be a bit softer but still fasten your seatbelt because
Okay.
Shege can come up at any point.
So you don't be surprised. But I think for electricity, all Nigerians should be looking forward to be moved to band A, but with lesser price. lesser
We
price.
don't expect that to come up. Sorry.
All right, so sadly, we have reached the end of today's program. This is where we'll be drawing the curtains. We thank you so much for staying with us to the very end. Thank you so much, Alade Toluwato, a financial expert, for being with us here on the program. We truly appreciate your contributions.
Wish you a very blissful Christmas in some days.
Oh, thank you so much. And many thanks to Dr. Akintude Ogushola, an economist who joined us live from Abuja. We thank you so much for sharing with us from the wealth of your experiences.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Okay, all right. So if you're a Nigerian, I think that you should be proud because you are strong, you are resilient, and you are wonderful. I am proud to be a Nigerian, and I hope you are too, or you get to that point that you will be proud to be a Nigerian. So see you same time, same station next week to have a